what kind of threw me through a loop was when we have reports from SNY saying that the Knicks could look, or there are more people in the front office that are willing to include RJ Barrett in a Donovan Mitchell trade. And for me, I think that is a non starter. The whole point of trading for a guy like Donovan Mitchell is to pair him with a guy like RJ Barrett, who we think in year 4 could take that next step. So I just wanted to put on screen comparison players and what they did in their first. And so, Foxy, what were some of your thoughts when you first heard that trade? Not the trade, but the idea that the front office or some members in the front office would be willing to include RJ in a trade for Donovan Mitchell.
Because they didn't select him, I could understand. They don't have that allegiance, but Tibbs and Alan Hahn did a nice little video saying that they really do like him. They respect his work ethic. They think he's a great kid, and like you said, that this year hopefully it'll come together for him. But like you said, we want Donovan to come here to compliment RJ. If RJ goes, maybe that's a major impact that we don't have to give up, as many draft assets. If we give up an RJ, but as we talked about in a couple of streams, that's a crapshoot. Even if you have a top 3 pick, you have a 75% chance that they'll never be an all-star. So let's keep RJ. Let's see him. As we see on the stats, folks, he's gotten better. Unfortunately, the efficiency is not there. But he has gotten better, and hopefully very similar to that we saw with Julius Randle a couple of years ago, where, he had the great season that you just showed the stats on, but then he went back to last year, which was much more like the years he had before, the great second-team All-NBA season. It's the same thing that in his second year, as you can see with RJ, shot 40% from 3, 44% from field goal percentage, shot almost 75% from the line, and then he had the off-year. So hopefully he goes back to his second-year stats and better this year. And because I think with Brunson and others will be in a lot more catch-and-shoot scenarios, and we'll go from there. But I'd like us to keep RJ. It'd be a crime to see him really reach his potential someplace else that we gave up on him.
I hear you there, Foxy. I believe that RJ Barrett can continue to get better. Do I think he'll be as good as a Donovan Mitchell, a top 20 player in the league? That's still up to debate. But I think if you look at what he's done, he's gotten better year over year, and worked on his game, worked on trying to get better, finishing with both hands, and we've seen some developments in that area. He mentioned that he wants to be better defensively, and you've seen that he's put that effort in as well. And he has solid size. If we can move him, if we keep him at the 2, I think at 6'7", he's got good size. But even if we have to make him a 3 at 6'7", he can still deal with some of these players like a Jason Tatum. Saw, RJ was able to battle with him last season. And, I, like you mentioned, don't want to move on from RJ Barrett and see him develop in a place like Utah and become that star player that we believe that he can be here in New York. So if we can just keep that deal to where we're keeping it, where we're giving up players like an Obi Toppin and an Evan Fournier and maybe some additional first-round picks, I think that would be the best for this team moving forward in terms of keeping assets on this team for, other moves down the line. And I think that'll be a solid foundation for this team trying to be legitimate championship contenders. You have a guy like Donovan Mitchell, young, what is he, 25 years old, multi-time All-Star, and I think he's going to continue to get better. You have RJ Barrett on this squad, a young player in year 4, still has the hunger to get better, and he's working towards earning a max contract, so he's motivated. And you bring in a guy like Jalen Brunson, has defied the odds time and time again, being a late pick, and now working himself to a contract that he was able to sign this offseason. Those 3 players are going to be key players that I think we can build around. And if we take RJ Barrett out of that equation, I think long term it would be more so just a lateral move. We would a very valuable trade piece in RJ Barrett, and we would also, I would assume, multiple first rounds in the deal as well. So I don't think we would be winners if we Barrett in a trade for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, and we've talked about it that players sometimes when they play with a special player like Donovan Mitchell, their game goes up because when you think about Donovan Mitchell and you think of Jalen, they're very good shot creators. So teams the way they played defense against the Knicks a year or so last year, etc., they wouldn't be able to do that. So I think the looks that RJ and a guy like Randall would get would be much better looks than they ever had before. And we talked about Donovan that he is more than just a great shooter. He was second in the league in pick and roll points last year. So and corner threes, he was like 10th in the league in assists for that. So yeah, I think their games to go to the next level. And you brought up a great point before about Randall, but I heart with RJ also. His game is getting to the hole, and the one area I want to see obviously from an efficiency standpoint, RJ shot a little, basically 41% field goal percentage, 34% from three last year, 71% from the line, but he had 3 assists. My big thing from RJ is that he had a shot blocked 86 times 2 years ago, 105 times last year in 2 less games. What I want to see is when they converge, I want more assists for him to kick it out and not try to, make that basket as, have that know what's going to happen, kick the ball out to his teammates so they can make a better shot than him as the defense converges. So I want, as we talked about in the top 30 guards and that of usage, RJ was last in the league in assists and second to last in assist to turnover ratio. So that's a big area from the assist point to RJ for his maturity.
Yeah, I'm big on RJ working on those playmaking skills as well, and we've seen he has the ability to do it. I saw a thread on Twitter, and it was showcasing RJ's ability to find shooters in the corner when he's able to penetrate and get to the basket. So I think that is an area of his game that he can get better at, and I think he has the tools already in place in order to make that happen. So I'm excited for what RJ can bring to this team, and I would be extremely disappointed if the front office decided to crack under pressure and include him in a deal, because there's also reports that there aren't any other suitors for Donovan Mitchell. So if that's the case, there's no reason for us to bid against ourselves. And I think I saw in the chat JBA Mega Montana says letting Obi go is a mistake, and it would hurt definitely to give up Obi in a trade, but it seems like we're going to be we're resigned to the fact that Julius Randle was going to be on this team for the foreseeable future. And in that instance, there's really no space for Obi Toppin, I believe, to get extended minutes, enough minutes for him to make a sizable impact on this team and to get better in his development. Because remember, Obi Toppin, he's only, a year younger than Donovan Mitchell. So he's kind of up there in age when you talk about a prospect. So he needs as much playing time as possible to get better. And we have Julius Randle. We're paying him right around $26 million. So I don't envision Obi Toppin seeing the 25, 26 minutes going to need. So if that's the case, it would make more sense, I believe, to package him in a deal for a player of Donovan Mitchell's talent level and a player that's going to be out there on the court for a much longer period of time. So that would be my reasoning or my thought process behind giving up a guy like Obi, Donovan Mitchell.